How's it going, everyone? King Blacktooth here again. Nice to see you all again. So welcome to episode 3 of my Gwent the Witcher card game tutorial series. So this video is solely based on gameplay. So I'm going to show you 2 full gameplay matches and I'm going to commentate through them. Now these are quite early gameplay footage, so a lot of cards have had their abilities changed since then, but the abilities stay the same, and I chose these ones because they're not cut into the developers' faces, so it's easier to follow what's happening in the game. So I'm going to commentate through 2 matches, and I'm not necessarily going to go into the strategy, what cards should have been played when and why, which is what I normally do. But instead I'm going to focus on what is happening on the board. So what is the game state, what happens if the opponent passes, and what that looks like, and also more importantly the abilities of the cards. So when someone plays a weather effect, what it looks like, what it actually does to the cards on the board, and such like that. So hopefully at the end of this video, in these 2 matches, you'll have a greater understanding, following on from episode 1 and episode 2, what the abilities in the game state actually look like in Gwent the Witcher card game. So when cards are played, you have a greater idea of what's going on because you'll be able to see what's going on. So I will also be pausing the game, rewinding it, going in slow motion at certain points if I've got a lot to say, to hopefully let you have the time to process what's going on. I have already commentated through these matches before, talking about strategy and such in other videos, so this is going to be a slightly slower version. So if you're not new to the game, you know what's going on, then feel free to not watch this. Take care, bye, see ya. But let's get into it, shall we? How's it going, guys? I'm down here when I commentate, just so that I don't get in the way of any cool information. So these 2 games are going to be Square Tell at the top versus Monsters at the bottom. So, beginning of the game, you get to see the opponent's deck, what faction they're playing, and their leader card. So the opponent at the top is playing Square Tell. This is indicated by the green card back. And the player nearest us, which I might take ownership of, is playing Monsters, indicated by the red card back. And you get to see their leader cards. So leader cards are indicated by the crown icon in the first diamond. And it tells you the name of the leader card and what they do next to them, as well as the faction's deck ability. Information is all present there if you're a new player. So a leader card is a card that you always get. You have to choose one when you're building a deck. It's a requirement of having a finished deck. And both players can see the opponent's leader card. Usually a one-time thing. Some could be passive, but the opponent knows you've got it, so it's something which will just bolster your whole combo, really. Okay, so at this point, now both players draw 10 cards, and they get to redraw 3 of those 10 cards. Okay, you want to use this again, get rid of any duplicates which are not very helpful, and possibly anything that you don't think will do well against your opponent's deck. So after you've chose 3 redraws, that's it. So each player has 11 cards in their hand now. You've got the leader card, which both players can see. As you can see the opponents, and you've got the 10 cards that you have at the start of the game. These are the only cards that you're going to get, okay, with the exception of spies, which allow you to draw 1 card, but for the most part these are generally the cards you have to win with. Okay, so just a second ago we get to see that the Scoia'tael faction ability has triggered. This is their deck ability. They get to choose who goes first. So your opponent decided to let you go first. Oh, that's nice. So the Scoia'tael has said the monsters have to go first. This is good so that the Scoia'tael player, the opponent, can play a bit more reactionary. You have to start using cards first. So it's the monster's turn to go first. Play a card first. So the board is empty. As you can see, everyone's got 0 strength at the moment. Nothing is on the board. Okay, you can see the graveyard at the top and bottom with the skull icons, as well as the deck ready for you to pull any more cards out. Okay, so he's chosen to play an Ancient Foglet. Ancient Foglets have Fogwalker Legion abilities, which is a mix between Muster and a Fogwalker ability. So the Muster, when he's played, he will draw any other Ancient Foglets from your deck or your hand onto the battlefield. Let's see that in action. So he plays the card there. And that's the muster ability, the two helmet icons, and he got one from his hand, you can see just there, gets pulled from his hand onto the board for free, and one will come from his deck because you can have 3 troops in your deck, and so he had all 3. So there's the 3 muster abilities. Now they also have Fog Walker, which means they get doubled in fog, but no fog is present, so that is going to be the end of his turn. He gets to place 1 card. So the coin icon just above my head is going to flip over now, and it's going to be Squirtel's turn. The opponent at the top, remember. So the Squirtel player has played Zoltan the Brawler, and this card is a hero card. You can tell this because it's got a golden border. It's placed on the siege row and give that siege row 6 strength. If you follow it along, you can see it's got 6 strength just there. Okay? And you can tell it's siege because of this and because of his icon there. So it also has the resilient ability. It's a fist like that. This means that he will stay on the board when a round transitions. When you go from round 1 to round 2, he'll stay on the board. So he's essentially going to stay on the board forever unless he's forcibly removed via things like Scorch. The thing is, because he's hero, he's immune to Scorch. So this particular card is unique because he's a hero with resilient and he'll stay on the board forever. Okay? So you can expect him to stay there forever. Now it's the monsters player's turn again. He gets to place another card. Okay, so he's chosen to play a Wild Hunt Rider. This has a Frostwalker Legion ability, which is a mix, a dual ability again. It's the muster, you can tell by the helmet icon there, and Frostwalker ability, so it'll get doubled in frost. So the muster, again, he will play that, and this will draw any other versions of this card from your deck or hand. So 1 came from his deck, and a 3rd one come from his deck, and there's the muster. No frost is in play, so he's not going to get doubled in frost either. And now it's the Squirtel's turn again. So let's just say that down here it says zoom card. You can use this to see more information about the card that you're hovering over, or on the battlefield, or the debuffing slot, or the buffing glyph slots. Okay, so notice how the strength is distributed between melee and range so far, and he's got a total strength of 12 down here. Quite important. So the Squirtel player has played the Elven Mercenary. You can tell what card the opponent played last because it comes up here. This is the opponent's last played card, and it's a 2 strength melee card. It can be placed on melee or range due to that icon, and it's got an ability which is draw 1 special card from your deck and play it instantly. Okay, so a card's going to come out of his deck, special card. So these are things like Scorch, Commander's Horns, Mushrooms, Biting Frost, Fog, stuff like that, and it's going to play it immediately. Okay, there it is. So it went straight into the graveyard. Now that is unusual, but we'll get to see what card is played in a moment. So this is a Nature's Gift. This is a Squirtel only special card, and its ability is something unique. What it does is it acts as the previous special card that was played. Now, there hasn't been a special card played this game because it's so early, so this one just goes straight into the graveyard without actually doing anything. But if a Commander's Horn was the last one that was played, this would turn into a Commander's Horn. But since nothing was played, it doesn't do anything, it goes straight into the graveyard. So the monster player has quite a few special cards of his own. Epidemic there, White Frost, Scorch, that you can see over here. So the monster player has chosen White Frost. This is a monsters only specific special card. This allows him to choose between Biting Frost, which is the melee row debuffing unit, or Fog, which is the range row debuffing special card. See which one he chose. So, Biting Frost. Okay, so he's played Biting Frost. This is a special card which places a glyph over here and on the opponent's melee row, and it puts frost on that row, sending every card on that row, which is non-hero, down to 1 strength, as you can see here. Now remember, these cards down here had the Frostwalker ability. Frostwalker abilities get doubled in strength when in frost. So instead of going down to 1, which is what's happened here, they've doubled in strength, as seen by this icon. So they're now all on 4 strength each. Okay, and this frost will stay on the board for this entire round unless it's removed by a clear weather or something that does a clear weather. Okay, the opponent has playing, they have Karen Smuggler. This is a 2 strength ranged unit and it has the Empower ability. You can tell it's Empower because it's just a big plus. And Empower is a specific ability. It depends on what the card says. This particular card is whenever a special card gets played by either side, it gets +4 strength. Okay, so it's going to stay on 2 for now, but it could go up anytime a special card is played. Special cards again being Scorch, Epidemic, Commander's Horns, Frosts, etc. So expect that one to get +4 strength every now and then. So the monster player has chosen to play his leader card. This is a one-time use thing. And this particular leader card is Dagon. Allows him to spawn any weather card of his choice and play it instantly. So remember, spawn means that it just gets created out of nowhere. So it's not going to use one from his deck, which is quite important. And your weather cards are Biting Frost, Impenetrable Fog, Torrential Rain, and Clear Weather. Clear Weather getting rid of all weather effects. Let's see which one he chooses. So he's choosing Impenetrable Fog. Now the fog again will add the glyph to this section here. And it will add fog to this range row and this range row, reducing the strength of all cards here by 1 and all cards here by 1. But again, these have Fog Walker, so they'll get doubled in strength instead. Okay, so let's just go back a little bit and see what that does. Okay, because when the fog gets added here, these cards are coming out of his deck. Now these cards are Foglets. These have the Weatherbound ability, the Fogbound ability. Okay, I call it Weatherbound to just generalize it. This one is specifically Fogbound. And what this means is, whenever a fog is played, these will get drawn from either the deck, the hand, or the graveyard for free. Okay, that's why they're so small in strength. But they'll come out for free anytime a fog is played. The crutch being, if the fog is removed, they get removed from the board. But then if you put another fog down, they'll come out of the graveyard again. Okay, so these are Weatherbound cards, specifically Fogbound in this case. And then that one gets fog, and he got added. See that symbol there? That is the Empower triggering. So he gets +4 strength for that weather card that was played. So he gets +4 strength anytime a special card is played. But that's not going to come through because the weather is setting him to 1 strength. And then they get doubled in strength, okay? These Fogbound cards also have the Fog Walker ability to get doubled in strength. Okay, the Decoy ability. So this allows you to play this special card, which just picks up one of the non-hero cards on your side of the board and puts it back into your hand. So Decoy will pick up the Alva Mercenary. Anything that is decoyed and brought back into your hand is visible to the opponent. And because of that, this guy that have Karen Smuggler is again going to get another +4 strength. It won't show through because the fog is reducing him to 1. But if that fog ever gets removed, his strength will boost up to, what is it, about 9 now? Because he was on 2 plus another 4 plus another 4, that's 10 then. Okay? So the monster player here, you can see by this little icon here, he's decided that he's got 30 strength and the opponent only has 7. So he's feeling like, okay, these are all big cards, I don't want to waste the strength. So he's going to decide to pass. Okay, and that is indicated by this little icon here. You have to hold the button and then passed. Okay, so now it's the Scoia'tael's turn and they can place as many cards as they want. Okay, the monster player can no longer do any moves this particular round. So the Scoia'tael player has to either choose, try and win, or to just pass and leave the round. It all depends on whether how many cards he has to place down in order to beat that strength. Okay, because he doesn't want to waste too many cards right now. Let's see what he does. Okay, so again, he's chosen to pass by holding the button down. He thinks that he'd have to place too many cards down to beat that strength, and that he's going to save those cards for round 2 and 3 and hopefully win both of those rounds. So, the monster strength is 30, square tiles is 7, monsters win. So they get half a crown. One more win for the monsters and they've won the game. This is round 2. So round 2 begins. All cards are about to go into their respective graveyards. But before then, the monster deck ability triggers. Monster deck ability is one of your non-hero units chosen at random is kept on the board between rounds. So, one randomly chosen monster or neutral unit on the monster side of the board will stay on the board. It chose the Ancient Foglet. The Ancient Foglet will now stay on the board, and everything else will go into their respective graveyards. Okay, as you saw. All weather effects get removed. So all fogs and frost get removed, and everything's set back to normal. That's why it's gone back down to 2 strength, because it's not got a fog to double its strength. And remember, Zoltan the Brawler up here, he's resilient. He will stay on the board between rounds anyway and can't be removed because he's hero. So now it's because the monster player won the round, they have to play first, as indicated by this. So the monster player will have to play first. So he's chosen to play Triss Butterfly Spell. Okay. Triss Butterfly Spell is an 11 strength hero, indicated by the gold, goes on the range row, and she adds fog to the board. Okay, which is really, really nice. So, again, another fog on the board, which is going to put the glyph there. And let's just show you what it does. Okay, so let's go through slowly what that did. Hopefully you can start to understand what's going on here. She gets placed on the board. She's hero, so she can't be reduced by any weather effects, but nor can she be buffed in the future. So she's fine. She adds the fog to the board. The fog will bring back these fog-bound foglets, okay, from the graveyard. And then they're all got fog walker, so they all get doubled in strength again. And it goes on the opponent's range row as well. So he's going to play the Alban Mercenary again. Remember, it pulls a special card from your deck and plays it instantly. What special card did it pull? It pulled a Nature's Gift. Now, when we first saw this, it was a dead card because no special card was played. Remember, this one takes the last special card that was played and makes a duplicate of it. The last one was Decoy, as you can see a moment ago. If we just go back a little bit, there you go. The last special card played was a Decoy. The Triss Butterfly Spell Fog was not a special card. It was an ability of her. So it won't be a fog, okay? So it turns itself into a decoy, and she gets to choose what to decoy. She's going to decoy back up the Alban Mercenary. This is one of the abilities which has been changed, but don't worry about that. But now it's the monster player's turn. So he's chosen to place down the Crones. The Crones is a character cards because of the silver border. You can put 3 of them in your deck. You've got the Crone Weavess, the Crone Brewess, which is there, and he has the Crone Wispess in his deck somewhere. And these have the muster ability again, so when one's played, they'll all get played. There we go. 3 8 strength characters. Remember, you can only have 6 characters in your deck, so 3 of them is half of them, half the limit. Okay, so the opponent has chose to play Microbraki or something. I have no idea, actually, I'm sorry. And that's a character card as well. Okay, it's 6 strength, adds 6 strength to his siege row, and has a Scorch style ability. This is a Scorch with requirement ability. So this particular card is going to Scorch the opponent's siege row. What it does is, when it's placed, it looks at the opponent's siege row and asks, is there strength on that row higher than 15? If it is, Scorch the highest strength cards on that row. So, looking at this siege row, is their total strength higher than 15? We can tell that it is, so it's going to Scorch the highest strength cards on that row. The highest strength card is 8, so it will Scorch this card and all other 8 strength cards on that row. So that's that one and that one. So unfortunately, all 3 of those strong cards are going to get removed from the board and put into the graveyard. So let's just say that that was a pretty good play. Okay, so he played the Grave Hag. The Grave Hag has an Empower style ability. This is a variant of the Empower, so that's why it's got a different icon. This one, when played, you banish units from your own graveyard and gain +2 strength for every one that you choose to banish. So let's see that in play. So it places it down, activates the ability, it's looking in the graveyard, and you're going to get to look at all the non-hero units in your graveyard, and you get to choose which ones to keep and which ones to banish. Okay, now this is got a typo in it. It should choose cards to banish, and let's see if he does. So he's chose to banish all 8 cards, so he will get 8 times 2 strength, which is 16. Okay, so he's got 16 strength. However, he's been placed into a fog, so he is reducing his own strength to 1. Okay, so he should have 16, but he hasn't got any sort of immunity to fog like these guys have, so gets set down to 1 strength. So that was a bad play. Again, the Alva Mercenary pulling out another special card from his deck. See what it is. It is a Scorch. So a Scorch will target the highest strength card on the board and remove it to the graveyard, as well as any of equal strength. So this will go on both sides of the board. It does not count heroes. Okay, so let's play Scorch. Let's see what possibilities. So the highest strength card is 11 here. However, that's a hero, so that one's going to be bypassed. The next highest card is 6 strength here. That's a hero, so that's going to be bypassed. 6 here, that's a character, so that will get Scorched. Okay, so Scorch targets the highest strength unit on the board and scorches all with equal strength, but it doesn't count heroes. Okay, so the monster player has chosen to play Epidemic. This is the opposite of Scorch. This targets the lowest strength card on the board of either your side or the opponent's and removes it from the board. Again, doesn't count heroes. So the lowest strength card on the board is this 1 strength card, so that will get removed to the graveyard. So that was a very bad play as well. Okay, Decoy picking up a card. He's chosen to pick up the Alvan Mercenary again, so he can replay it. Like I mentioned, that card's ability has changed. A Scorch, highest strength card on the board. It's not 11 because that's hero. It's not 6 because that's hero. So it was a 4 strength. Bad play. Alva Mercenary again. This one has been changed because Nature's Gift, which turns into a Scorch, which will scorch the highest strength cards on the board again. Not 11 because it's hero, not 6 because it's hero. So the highest strength board is 2. Highest strength unit on the board is 2, which means all these 4 cards will disappear because they're all 2 strength. That wasn't a bad play because you got rid of 6 on the opponents. So the monster has chose to pass. Or actually, he didn't choose to pass. He's got no cards left to play. He's already used his hero cards. So the monster is forced to pass because he's ran out of cards. Now the Scoia'tael gets to put down as many cards as they want to try and win. Okay, so the Scoia'tael player has chosen to play Bruva Hoog. This is their leader card. He gets to choose any character card from his deck and play him. So we're not going to be able to see what he's choosing. This is just the player one side, the monster player looking in the opponent's graveyard. Okay, so he chose to bring out Regus. This is this card here. So this is a 4 strength character card and has the Death Wish ability. So when it gets removed from the board, something will happen. Usually spawning something. So we'll see that on the round end. So they've both got 11 strength. So he'll need to play another card in order to get the right amount of strength. Commander's Horn. This will allow him to place a buff glyph on one of these 3 rows. Only affects your side of the board, whoever plays it. And it will double the strength of all non-hero units on that row. So Regus is now 8 strength. And so he's got the highest strength, higher than the monsters. So he decided to pass in order to win the round. Okay. So each of them have won 1 round. This is the final round now. Now the monster player's deck ability would activate here. So the monsters get to keep a card which is non-hero chosen at random on their board. However, they don't have a non-hero unit on their side of the board, so their deck ability doesn't work. Okay, Regus, as you can see, the Death Wish ability is activating, And what his does is it turns that card into a 10 strength vampire bat. And that gets played. So he's got a 10 strength vampire bat. And Zoltan the Brawler with 6 strength. He'll stay on the board forever, remember. All glyphs get removed. And all buffing glyphs as well get removed. Okay. So Squirtle has already won this by miles. Okay, because they've already got 16 strength. And the monster player has no cards left. So Squirtle has already won. Commander's Horns doubles that strength, and he's chosen to pass because he didn't need to do anything anyway. So Squirtle has won, and so here we get to see how much strength they won by. So Monsters won the first round with 30 strength to 7, then 11 to 15 to Squirtle, and 0 to 23 to Squirtle. So Monsters played too many cards early and didn't have enough cards to see it all the way through. Now there were a lot of bad plays in this one. This is a very early game that we saw at E3, I think. Or maybe Gamescom, but not good plays. But hopefully you can start to see what the abilities look like and what's happening on the board. So we've got one more game to look through. So again, we get to see the opponent's deck, what faction they're playing, and their leader card. Again, it's the same one. Squirtle at the top, green card back, playing Bruverhoog, which pulls a character from the deck and plays it, and Monster at the bottom with the red card back, Dagon, spawn a weather card of your choice, spawning, creating it out of thin air. Let's see if this game plays a little differently. Drawing 10 cards, going into the redraw phase. He's got a lot of special cards there, these White Frost, so you might choose to get rid of one of those because you can have too many and it's pretty, a bit of a hindrance. He's got a lot of the same cards as the last game. A few different ones. So Squirtle's deck ability, again they get to choose who goes first. It gives you the option, do you want to use it or not? He's chose to use it to make the monster player go first again. So monster player goes first, has to place a card down. Okay, the Ancient Foglets, we saw these before with Muster, so all of them got played. I think he had one in his hand. So this is exactly why you'd want to use your redraws better. He played the Ancient Foglet here, and it pulled a second one from his hand. So he actually has lost card advantage there. Okay, he had 10 cards, but just by playing one card, he's now played 2 cards from his hand, which means that he's closer to passing involuntarily by running out of cards. So you make sure that any musters that pull cards out of your hand or your deck, you don't want duplicates of, okay? You want to make sure you get rid of those. And the third one came from the deck. So now, the Squirtle player has 10 cards in his hand because he hasn't even played one, and the monster only has 8. So the monster runs the risk of passing because he's ran out of cards a lot earlier in the game, which is really, really bad. Okay, so Squirtle has played Siri Blink. This is a legendary hero. Legendary is just the rarity for opening card packs and such. 10 strength, which is reasonably good. Goes on the melee row. Has a unique ability, Blink, which is demonstrated by this U-turn arrow. So what she does is, if the Squirtle player loses this round, then she goes back into the hand. If the Squirtle player wins the round, she just goes into the graveyard like normal. Okay, so this is good if you're not sure whether you're going to win or whether you're going to lose, because it's a win-win situation. You get a card back or you win the round. So let's see if the Squirtle decide to pass early to get that card back. Because it is forcing the monster player to use more cards. But unusually, the monster player has chosen to pass the round with only 6 strength, so he's given it up really early. The Squirtle player doesn't have to do anything, he's already got 10 strength. So the monster player has chosen to pass, so the Squirtle player does not get that card back. It's a strategy, let's see if it pays off, shall we? Squirtle's going to pass, win the first round, and that card, which would normally go back into his hand if he lost, will go to the graveyard. The monster deck ability triggers, chooses one card on the board to keep it random, which is non-hero, and it's chosen the Foglet again. There we go, so you get a little bit more description of what Siri Blink does. Returns to your hand if you lose the round. But he didn't, so he went to his graveyard. Scoia'tael won that previous round, so they have to play first. Now, if Scoia'tael hadn't have used their deck ability at the very beginning of the game, he would have had a choice there to make the monster player go first, which is a much better play. So he's played the Dwarven Mercenary. The Dwarven Mercenary is a 6 strength troop card, so we can have 3 of these in his deck. Goes on the range row and has the Resilient ability again. Okay, like that. So that will stay on the board for the entirety of the game, unless it's forcibly removed by a Scourge. Okay, and that can be removed because it's a troop card. The monster player looks like he's about to play White Frost. Get to choose between Biting Frost and Impenetrable Fog. He chooses a Fog. I think he's got Weatherbound, Fogbound cards. They come onto the board and then get doubled in strength, while also weakening the Dwarven Mercenary to 1 strength. Okay, so the Scoia'tael player has played a Spy. Yavin is an 8 strength character Spy. So a Spy is disloyal. So remember, a loyal character, which is most things, get played on your side of the board. A disloyal unit gets played on the opponent's side of the board. So since Scoia'tael played this disloyal Spy, the Spy went onto the opponent's ranged row and gives the 8 strength to that opponent. But the added effect of a Spy is that they generally draw a card for the person who played it. So you give the opponent 8 strength, but you'll draw a card. So let's see what happens. Okay, so we're going to see a card being drawn there from your deck to your hand. But Yavin has a lot of other special effects too. So Yavin gets played on the opponent's ranged row. That has a Fog in play. So he's going to go down to 1 strength because that's what the Fog does. And then Yavin can -2 from every non-hero unit card on that row apart from himself. Okay, so while this is 4 strength, 2 strength, 2 strength, 2 strength, he's going to -2 from everybody else apart from himself on that row. So that's why these go down 0, 0, 0, and 2. Okay, -2 from everyone else on that row. And then finally, the Scoia'tael player draws that card from their deck to their hand. That was a very, very good Spy to play. The monster player is playing Dagon, spawning a weather card of choice. He chose to play Clear Weather. This will get rid of all weather glyphs from the board. There's only Fog in play, but it will remove that Fog. Okay, there you go. The Fog is removed. Let's rewind a little bit and just see what's going on there. So it's going to remove that Fog. So what happens first is that these Foglets, which are Fog bound, which means if the Fog's not there, they're not there, they get removed to the graveyard. If a Fog gets played again, they'll come back out, but if there's no Fog, then they don't get to stay on the board. Okay, Yavin, which got reduced to 1 strength due to the Fog, now goes back up to 8 strength, its initial strength, because there's nothing reducing him anymore. And the Foglet, which was doubled in strength with the Fog, now goes back down to his base strength. But hold on, there's more. Yavin is still -2 of everyone else on this row. So that 2 strength that it should be now gets -2 taken off it to 0 strength. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. The loss of Fog meant that a lot of things happened, and pretty complicated, that one. Elven Mercenary draws a special card from the deck and plays it. It chose a Decoy, which replaces a card, and it brought the Elven Mercenary back into his hand, which you can see. So he's going to play his Wild Hunt Riders. These are 3 musters. He played 1 and the other 2 came from his deck onto the battlefield. They also have the Frostwalker ability, of course. So he's played the Elven Mercenary. This brought out the Nature's Gift, which duplicates the last special card played. The last special card played was a Decoy, so he's probably going to pick up that Elven Mercenary again. Okay, so he's very much stalling the game here. You can see the card advantage that Scoia'tael is playing. This is a term which I'm going to go into in future. videos. It's a very big part of this game, card advantage. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards. 8 cards in his hand and 1 leader card left. So 9 cards to play. This guy has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. So 9 to 6 means the monster player is probably going to pass involuntary, and then the square tile can place as many cards as they want, which is a big strategy in Gwent. Okay, so we've got the Grave Hag again with the Corpse Eater ability. This is a style of Empower, so when something happens, she'll gain strength. She banishes cards from your own graveyard, so she gets to choose cards to banish. That's a typo. So she's keeping these 2 cards, these 2 Foglets, and she's banishing the 3 that she's already removed. So she'll gain 6 strength in total, plus 2 for each of the 3 that she banished. And now she's on the board, she's got 4 strength. And the reason for this is she had 6, but Yavin, that spy that was played earlier, minuses 2 off her, leaving her at 4 strength. Right, the Square Tile player has played a character card, 8 strength, which is really nice. Can be placed on siege or ranged. She chose the ranged row. And has the Encourage ability. This is a plus with 2 arrows either side. This will add plus 2 strength to everything else on that row apart from the card that has it. Okay? So there's no other units on that row, so it's not really doing anything at the minute. But any card she places on the siege row will gain plus 2 strength from Moron, providing it's not a hero card. Monster player has chosen to pass, okay, because he's got the lead, and the Square Tile player gets to place as many cards as they want. I think it's in the Square Tile's interest to win the game at this point, but they may choose not to because it's a demonstration purposes and they want to make it the full 3 games. But Square Tile has already won 1 round, and they could easily win this round. So this is just for demonstration purposes that they haven't won this round. Any normal player would win this round. So, both people have won 1 round each. Monster's deck ability is going to activate. Keeps 1 card on the board. It keeps the Ancient Foglet. And it's going to remove all other cards from the board. Remove all glyphs, both buffing and debuffing. So that's going to get its strength back to normal. And this card has resilience, so it'll stay on the board forever unless forcibly removed. Monster players won that one, so monster players get to go first. So the monster player has chosen to play his Wild Hunt Warrior. This is just a strong base singular card, 6 strength troop card, goes on the melee row, has the Frostwalker ability to double its strength when a frost is in play. Square Tile player has chosen to play Dol Blafana Marksman. This is a 3 strength troop card, goes on the ranged row and has the Muster ability. It's a different variation of Muster. This musters it from the deck, which is here, the hand here, or the graveyard. Okay, so this can come out of the graveyard, this one. These 2 particular cards both came out of the deck so far. If they go into the graveyard, he could medic them out later and pull them out from the graveyard later. He's playing White Frost, so he gets to choose Biting Frost or Impenetrable Fog. He's choosing Frost, so that doubles its strength to 12. Might have been better to choose Fog, because he wouldn't get much strength, but he'd be able to put all those to 1 strength, which would have been a little bit more powerful in my opinion. Alvan Mercenary. Nature's Gift. The last special card played was the Biting Frost from the White Frost that was played by the monster player. So that's going to be a Biting Frost, which again, you can only have 1 Biting Frost in play at a time, so it's not going to do anything. Triss Butterfly Spell Hero, 11 strength. Again, it will place a fog down. This won't count towards any Nature's Gifts. The fog-bound cards come back from the graveyard. Now, there's only 2 because that Grave Hag from earlier banished 1. Banished means they get removed from the game completely. So there's only 2 left in the graveyard, and they both came out and got fog-bound ability. And all of these guys have been reduced to 1 as well. Okay, that dragon which scorches the opponent's siege if it's higher than 15, it has nothing on there, so it's not going to do anything. Just a nice 6 strength. Okay, so the monster player is playing Caranthir. This is a very strong hero, but only a very situational one. 2 strength, but its ability is what makes it. It's a hero card and placed on the melee row only. And it has the Horde ability, Wild Hunt. When played, copy every Wild Hunt unit on that row. So the only Wild Hunt unit on that row is the Wild Hunt Warrior, and it will duplicate it. So he gets another one for free. That's a very powerful ability. Unfortunately, it didn't show it off to the maximum effect there. But now he's got 2 12 strength units, which is really nice. He's decoying up the Elven Mercenary. He's going to use that later to draw a special card. Now the monster player is passing here. The reason he's passing with 1 card left is because if he plays that card, he's going to scorch the highest strength card on the board. And the highest strength card on the board is his 12 strength unit, so he really can't play that card. That is an issue. You want to try and make sure that you don't put yourself into a corner where you can't play a card, because now he's forced to pass and he will never be able to play that card ever, because this is the last round. Goyatao get to place all their cards down to try and beat his 45 strength, which could be done. Elven Mercenary. Commander's Horn. This will double the strength of all cards on a row that he's chosen to pick it on. He's chosen it on the melee row here. Okay. Only 1 Commander's Horn can be in effect on 1 row, so you can have 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. So since its strength was 1 due to the frost, then it will double it to 2. Okay. Okay, so the Goyatao player has chosen to play the Caretaker. This is an 8 strength heroic spy. So it's a hero, so it can't be reduced by frost or fog. And it goes on the opponent's side, gives them 8 more strength. But it also allows you to draw a card from the opponent's graveyard. So the Goyatao player is going to choose a card to play. Now, he chose to pull out the Wild Hunt Rider. He has the Muster ability and the Frost Walker ability. Now, the Muster won't work because it only pulls it from your deck or your hand. Okay, so even if the opponent had any in his deck or his hand, it wouldn't pull from there. So that's not really a great card to pull out. The Frost Walker ability still activates though, and it's on 8 strength. Right, the reason for that is its base strength is 2, as you can see. It gets doubled via the Frost Walker there, and then gets doubled by the Commander's Horn again. So it goes from 2 to 4, and 4 to 8. He's going to decoy up the Elven Mercenary again, and play him again in hopes to get another special card. Again, it got placed down, got reduced to 1 strength, then doubled back to 2. Another Commander's Horn, he gets to choose which row to place it on, and he chose the ranged row, and that's going to double all of these strengths from 1 to 2, so not a massive increase. But if he manages to get rid of these weather glyphs, then these will all go back to their normal strength and then get doubled as well. So that'd be the game-winning particular play there. Nature's Gift, another Commander's Horn, that's going to go on this particular row. And he's finally got his leader card left. This allows you to pull out a character card of your choice from your deck, and this is something that you want to build your deck around. I know what card he's got in there, and they've got some really good abilities. So let's see which one he chooses. So Goyatao has chosen to pull out the character card Okvist. Okay, so Brotherhood, the leader card, pulls out any character card. So you can have 6 of those in your deck, remember. And he's chosen to pull out this one. It has a melee specific Scorch or range specific Scorch, depending on which row you place it on. This one could have changed in the current build, but for now it's either melee or range specific Scorch, depending on where you place it. So he's placed it on melee, so it's going to check the opponent's melee row. Is their strength higher than 15? Yes, it is. Get rid of their highest strength cards. So these cards are exempt anyway, because they're heroes. However, the highest strength card is this. So he's going to get rid of both of those 12s. Let's just go back a moment. Now, if he had placed that on the ranged row, he would have looked on the opponent's ranged row. Has he got more than 15 strength? Yes, he has. Scorched the highest strength cards on that row. So although heroes can't be scorched themselves, if you're looking for something with a condition, do they have more than 15 strength? Do they have more than 30? The heroes still count because they've got 19 on their row. Although he can't scorch the 11, he would have scorched that one because it does have a higher strength than 15. So he's going to scorch those two off, and that's the end of the Scoia'tau's turn. So the Scoia'tau win that particular game. Okay, and then Octopus goes down right at the very end there. Octopus goes down to 2 strength because he gets reduced to 1 from the frost, and then doubled to 2 with the horn. Okay, there you go. He won the second round. So now we get a breakdown. Scoia'tau won the first one with 10 strength. The second round was won by monsters with 18, although the Scoia'tau could have won that one. And on the third round, 32 to 29. That was quite a close game. Okay, so that is it for these 2 matches. I hope you got an idea. Obviously, I didn't demonstrate any of the Northern Realms style abilities. All the footage we've got for that is a bit slicey dicey. I have to do stuff. You can let me know if you want more. I can get some Northern Realms gameplay and some Skellige gameplay. But hopefully you understood generally what's happening and what weather cards do. I think this is a great one for weather cards, Frostwalker abilities, Fog-bound abilities. That they were really demonstrated very nicely. And quite a lot of special cards were demonstrated quite nicely too. Okay, some of the abilities which might have been a bit confusing would be the conditional scorches that you saw with the 2 dragons during those 2 matches. But thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought, whether you thought this was helpful, and take care of yourself, guys. I'll see you very soon.